segment is sponsored by Prime Capital Investment Advisors. Achieve your financial ambitions with a collaborative team approach from Prime Capital Investment Advisors Charleston. Here with more is financial advisor Jason Noble. Jason, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Welcome to Lowcountry Live. I'm happy that you're here because people, there's a lot going on in the news right now, if you've seen. So, with the recent bank failures,
yes.
Let's start there. What should we know?
Well, first off, I want to say March Madness really started earlier this year with everything that's going on with these banks. And I want to give confidence to those in the Lowcountry that I'm not worried about this for the majority of banks out there.
Okay.
But I also think it's important that there's 4 things that I identified with all the bank failures that happened recently that took all the way through. So number 1 was they were very niche in who they were working with and serving and how they went about working in their community. So they weren't diversified. Number 2 is they had hyper growth in a very short period of time, and because of that hyper growth, their risk profiles were not being managed. So that's number 3, is they didn't have proper risk management. And then number 4 was because of that improper risk management, there was a run on the banks. And when you put money in a bank, they take that money and they invest it and they also lend it out.
It doesn't just sit there.
It doesn't just sit there. So then when people wanted their money, they couldn't come up with enough, creating more issues. The next thing you know, FDIC and the government had to come in and help them out. So I think there's something that we can learn from this on personal finances, which are 3 things. Number 1 is if you're just focusing on risk, on just returns, you're gonna get stuck if you're not also looking at risk. So you have to manage risk first. The other thing that I will say is make sure you're diversified. Unlike these banks having one niche, make sure you have a diversified portfolio. And then number 3, if you don't know how to even look at your risk, which is an important factor, I would say go to our website, and at the very top you can find your own risk number, and it will give you clarity to what is going on within your own risk profile.
Oh, that's great. So at the top of your website is where we can find that info.
That's right. Go to clearpicturefinancial.com, and at the very top you can find your own risk number.
That's wonderful. So what I hear you saying is that we can remain calm. We don't need to panic.
Don't panic. Stay calm.
I like to hear that. Let's talk about inflation. No one's favorite topic. How are you helping your clients, navigate the higher costs and what to do with their financial plans?
With inflation, I will say, obviously as a professional, it's my responsibility to know what's going on at the U.S. and the global economic scale. But when I'm meeting with my clients, we're not having conversations on that. We're looking at the personal economics. And now, what I mean by that is really looking at money in, money out, and what are we doing with the difference? And that difference is really important and essential because right now, as a country, we have $1.2 trillion in credit card debt. And that credit card debt is not given out for free. No, they charge high interest rates on this. So what are we doing with the difference is emergency savings and building out for long-term investments, create liquidity. And we do this with our program called Portfolio Payday. And again, we have that on our website, but also on YouTube. You could go to YouTube and just type in Clear Picture Financial, and you can see what we're doing with Portfolio Payday as well. So that's, again, more great information on your website.
I feel like you've already answered a lot of it, but what would you say really makes you different in this industry?
That's such a great question, where my mentor asked me that same question. And so I reached out to my clients that came to me by other advisors.
That's a good way of doing it,
hear from them directly. And I heard amazing feedback, but there was one couple in particular I want to share their story. They said, well, Jason, simply, when our daughter was having her first child, you met with her and her husband to have a conversation over what that means to be parents financially. When our son was getting married, you had a meeting with him and his fiance to talk about finances and marriage. And then when we were going through retirement, you were there for every step of the way.
You're like part of the family.
Well, I do have that compliment, and I think it's a huge compliment. But to be a top 3 phone call that people make when something big is going on in their life, so I could either celebrate with them or help them navigate through it, is a huge honor of mine.
It's a good-looking picture of you right there. Clear Picture Financial. We've got your phone number on the screen. People can go to PCIACharleston.com. That's where we find everything on your website.
That's absolutely right. Go there, and we'll be ready to serve you if you reach out.
All right. Anything that I forgot to ask that you'd like to add before we go?
No, it's just there's so many things that come into financial planning and wealth management. And when I meet with 5 people in the course of a day, every single one of them is unique and different, and their financial plan needs to reflect that difference. There's not a one-size-fits-all. There's not a strategy that fits all. So if you're going, how does this apply to me with everything that's going on with the banking system, everything that's going on with inflation and my personal finances, That's the community that we serve, and that's who we want to help.
And that's why we need you to have that personalized attention. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to take a break. Again, all the information on your screen. We've got more Lowcountry Live right after this.